Mac.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Special Wednesday edition of Marvel Time.
Thursday?
Thursday, yeah. Sorry. It's like when your comic book shop doesn't get their shipment in, like when you expect, you gotta come back the next day, which has happened to me more than I care to share.
No, I get what you were saying. Every edition is special. So when they're on Wednesdays, they're special. This is different.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a very Marvel way. Like, you won't believe what happens in issue 37 of Fantastic Four. Like, okay, so you want to start with comics?
Yeah, let's jump back into King in Black.
How about with that one?
Yeah, that's a good place to start after I started to read one of the other ones before realizing the right order this time. But I did correct it, so we did go in the right order. Venom number 32. That I'm curious, did you have this happen to you? I read the first couple pages and I was like, I swear I've read this before.
Yes.
Because it was at the end of the last King in Black. They kind of gave us a sneak peek. I was just like, wait, did I pick the wrong title or something? What happened? But no, yeah. So this does start off with what we saw at the end of King in Black number 2, I believe. So you're not going crazy if you have that happen to you. I did like this issue though. It's a bit loose with the rules of the hive, the symbiote hive, I think, but they do kind of explain it a little bit more as you go. And it sort of sets up this, is it quote unquote spiritual journey for Eddie Brock as opposed to an actual physical journey throughout King in Black? I'm curious to see how that plays out, because it's almost like what he's doing is not actually happening on Earth. So I'm wondering if they're gonna stick to that going forward.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because obviously you have the King in Black main title, and then you had Venom, which is supposed to tell the story of Eddie Brock, but he's dead. So, but I mean, as much as anyone is dead. But I really liked the ending. I don't want to say what happens, but there's an iteration of Venom that returns, which I thought was great just because it was so different than the regular sort of OG Venom. Mm-hmm. And so, I thought it was going to be like, okay, when Donny Cates took over, okay, I'm going to do this Venom. You don't always necessarily bring back the iterations of the past. And so I'm really excited that they brought back this character, not, the person behind the outfit, and then, that concept as well. So I like the issue. It just kind of, I don't know. I guess I'm so excited for where it's going to go. Like, I just can't wait. That's the hardest part, is the anticipation building.
Yeah, I'm really curious too, because we have, like you said, this sort of Venom team assembling. I'm wondering if we're going to see more, characters join that sort of little symbiote group that is building here. Are we going to get Angelo Fortunato, who was Venom for all of 3 minutes? Do we get him joining the squad? I'm really curious to see what else they do with that moving forward. It's a very different angle and not one that I expected for sure. And I will say it's hard to say, because a lot of the tie-ins have been so different, but this is one of my least favorite storylines within the major story arc. So I'm curious to know, are they going to turn from this? Are they going to stick to this? It's just something about it, like Eddie being the main player in this story and not having an actual physical presence. I'm curious to see how it plays out.
Okay. Next. Whoops. We got another King in Black tie-in.
Yeah, and I'm gonna sort of contradict myself here, because a lot of what I just complained about in Venom is this sort of follows that same sort of thing, but I really liked it here. I enjoyed this kickoff to this new series, or mini series, or whatever you want to call it here. It's really a tie-in to King in Black, but I'm excited to see the Valkyries return and sort of rebuild that legendary team of female warriors.
Yeah, it's neat to have, I would say there's probably the two most, well, you have the OG Valkyrie, then you have Jane Foster, and you have the sort of Tessa Thompson inspired Valkyrie.
Right.
And to see them, they all have the same job, so to speak, but to have them interact is cool to watch. And then you have the Sentry, who is just kind of not sure what's going, like he thinks his life is over. So he's sort of like on the, okay, like, here we go, what's next kind of situation, which I would do, once you die, you kind of feel like,
Yeah, he doesn't have Deadpool's comic awareness, right? So he's
right.
not he's not aware that he is basically invincible of being a comic book character.
Right.
I do like that they brought him back though and didn't just kind of throw him aside, as sort of a prop from the first King in Black, because he is a great character, and as we're talking about, we expect him to come back eventually. But I'm glad that he is still has a role to play within this story.
So the first major Marvel event that happened after the Disney acquisition was finalized was The Siege, which was like Norman Osborn, and Sentry died at the end of that. Obviously it didn't take.
Right. That's a very good point. I want to point out one quick thing from that Valkyries comic still. You're a Marvel nerd when you are correcting the characters as they're speaking in the comic, because there's a moment where Sentry is talking about death and he refers to it as he. And as I read that, I was like, it's she, Sentry. Come on, you should know that. And then the very next line, Jane Foster corrects him. So yes, I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah, and great reveal at the end, I think.
Yes. Yeah, which obviously we won't spoil.
Snap. Spider-Woman number, what is this? Number 8.
This is number 8, yes.
So we've been reading a lot of Spider-Woman. It had a few milestone issues, then it went into King in Black. Very loosely King in Black.
For sure.
She's kind of on her own story, trying to get her the serum she needs to keep her alive, which has side effects. Meets up with her mom. Meets a big character at the end, which obviously we'll keep under wraps. But this is definitely from the sort of old school tie-in where there's like, my ongoing story, but we'll kind of throw in what the event is on top of it. So what do you think of this one?
I enjoyed it because Jessica Drew is such a fantastic, entertaining character, and like the banter here between her and Octavia has been. It was fantastic. It was a lot of fun to read. I agree, though. It didn't feel like a King in Black story. This is sort of like basically all of the heroes are out of her way so that she can do her thing because of King in Black. And aside from that, there's no connection to it at all.
Right.
But again, it's a really fun story. I have no idea where they're going with this. You could have given me 1,000 guesses. I never would have guessed the ending of this issue. So now I really am curious to see where they're going, what kind of repercussions this story is going to have, because it feels like it just got a lot bigger. So I guess we'll have to see where this goes.
Yeah, I think the scope of this, it kind of embraced its smallness at first, like very personal. But this isn't saving the world; this is saving Jessica.
Right.
But then in the end, you get this sort of big scale reveal.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. What are we doing here? So next we got Peter David's Symbiote Spider-Man.
Yep, and this is going to be my pick of the week.
Mine too. The writing of this book is superb.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about it a little bit before, and I said I actually had a hard time making my pick of the week. Nothing to me really stood out, except I think the one thing that I'm going to remember about this group of comics is the humor in this book. I found it very funny. Already have my panel pick locked in, by the way, so keep an eye out for that tomorrow. Yeah, it's just such a great cast of characters in this story right now. You got Spider-Man. You now have Captain Marvel, who at this time was Captain Marvel, Kang, Rocket Raccoon, and Black Knight. It's such an eclectic group of characters that work so well together, and it's just really, really funny, and just wildly entertaining, and yet still playing a huge role in the overall King in Black story.
Yeah, and it's funny to see Kang knowing what Spider-Man's suit means.
Yes.
But Spider-Man not knowing what his suit means and be like, oh, you'll find out initially.
Right. Yeah, Kang being a part of this and his time traveling ability sets up for really great jokes, but also endless potential for where this story goes. Like, they have to set something up because let's just to clarify, Symbiote Spider-Man is taking place in the past, like back when Peter Parker originally got the black suit. So this is setting up for something down the road, but could also actually take place in current King in Black because of Kang's abilities. So who knows where this is going to go? I am very excited. It's been a lot of fun, and now that this whole group is like actually physically together, I think it's just going to get better.
Yeah, it's it's such a weird team up. Like, it's a bunch of characters just teaming up because they're in the right place, right time kind of thing. And that's great. We get the Avengers, we get the Guardians, we get the X-Men. This is just sort of the eclectic whatever.
Yeah, it's just like they picked characters out of a hat and we're like, this is what we have to work with. Let's build the story around that.
Right. So next we got the big new #1 issue for the week, Eternals. Obviously was designed to come out when the movie was coming out, but didn't quite happen that way. Very, inspired by Jack Kirby, very, if you're familiar with his DC work with New Gods or, sort of the cosmic level thing, very heady. Not as wordy as the X-Men's are right now, but getting close to that. But I still think accessible for new readers. You don't need to know who the Eternals were, except, it's literally a fresh start for them. And the simplest of the worlds, they're not all dead anymore. So, you kind of get a clean break. But what do you think of Eternals?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn here because, like you said, this is a great issue to serve as an introduction to these characters. They literally are waking up from death, more or less. So you're getting a fresh start with these characters. These characters, though, and their story is so out there and just very, very different from most other Marvel characters. I can feel that casual fans will have a harder time getting on board with Eternals. That being said, a franchise containing a talking raccoon and a talking tree is wildly popular now. So who knows? The Eternals could be the next big box office,
Yeah.
So.
And I feel like the comics are hard because, even when you do a #1 issue, you don't get, extra pages necessarily most of the time. Sometimes you do, but, to explain these big heady concepts. And so, I'm kind of curious to see if people will discover this in the movie next year and then go back and read it and be like, oh, okay, when you have 2.5 hours of focused attention, some of these concepts are a little bit more accessible than they are just opening up a comic book and be like, where am I? What's the history? The exposition in a comic is hard. So obviously, it's frustrating that this book is coming out before the movie, which was obviously not the intention, but I'm kind of curious to see where it goes. It's just, it's not like the X-Men where everyone has sort of some basic idea of what the X-Men are, or Spider-Man or something like that. So it's really a clean start. I think they do a good job of keeping it that, but it's such a cerebral book like you know, this isn't like a light read, and you need to really have some time to focus on it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Plus, I mean, there has never been a comic book movie that has taken the comic word for word. The movie is definitely going to drastically change what we are seeing in the pages here, especially this issue, because you get a big surprise ending, as we had a lot of this week, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud. Character I didn't expect to see, and can pretty much guarantee we will not see in the movie version of this with these characters. So definitely interested to see how this plays out, because not where I expected it going, for sure.
No, yeah, and you know, it's obviously a character has a big part in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I think will draw people to this book. But yeah, this isn't the story from the movie by any stretch.
Right.
But so, you know, even just their names are kind of out there, and so you have to you have to give this one some time. And you know, for a really new comic book reader, I might suggest waiting until you can get a few issues in Marvel Unlimited or like a trade paperback, because this is one that, you know, you don't want to put away for 30 days and then come back and be like, okay, where was I? Like, I feel like you need to give this one a little bit of time.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So I'm going to head to the news part of our show, Graham. So if you're in China and you want to celebrate New Year's Eve, you could do it with Marvel Studios virtually.
Yeah, this did you get a chance to watch this performance?
I did.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, obviously seeing it in person probably would have hit a lot better, just because some of the effects and stuff that they did. But I mean, the Avengers theme, and this kind of hit this note for me. I was just like, how iconic has the Avengers theme become so quickly? Because I think it's up there with, you know, some of the most recognizable movie scores, and, you know, only debuted, what, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago at this point. No, not even.
Not even, because MCU is like about 12, 13 years.
So, yeah, it was really cool to see a really cool show like this put to that music. And you can check out the video on laughingplace.com right now. Yeah,
it's you know, I think about that too, because like obviously when we see Star Wars, you know, we're used to that theme and, you know, that music, but, you know, we grew up with that, and the Avengers theme has kind of become that, like, in a way that for a non-John Williams score, it's very rare. I mean, Alice Silvestri is great too, but you know, I can't hum many other Marvel themes, like just pull them out. Like if I see the movie, I'll have it stuck in my head for a few days. But
yeah,
that iconic dun dun, and you know, they're starting to use it for that effect now. You know, it's not just the theme from the music. Now that theme is like their theme song,
right?
You know? It's and so when they assemble, you want to hear that. Like otherwise, it's weird. And yeah, you know, and last year was the first year in 12, 13 years that we haven't had a Marvel Studios project, but we know that there's 18 billion of them coming out this year. So this is nice to get a little hype. I mean, that's what this was, right? It was hype. Yeah. And, you know, after sort of a forced sabbatical, which might not be the worst thing for it after Infinity War and Endgame and, you know, Far From Home, you know, I think it's time to kind of rev up those thrusters again and get going with something like, something like WandaVision.
Yeah, so we had some new posters, a new TV spot. Actually, it feels like we've had about 6 new TV spots since the last time we've talked about it. But and then also the theme song, or at least some of a theme song, which my guess is we're going to get different theme songs for each episode.
Yeah, that's the way I kind of read it. It was like every one will have a different theme song, depending on the era. You know, they'll have a 50s one,
which I think is such an awesome concept, and I'm really excited for it. However, that you lose out on that iconic theme. You know, I mean, I wasn't expecting an iconic theme for WandaVision, but like one of the things for The Mandalorian that has worked so well, at least for me, the music is so recognizable, and I'm wondering if you kind of lose out on that aspect of it. However, this different concept is very exciting. I'm excited to see what we get.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a week away, so we'll get there. We'll get there. Meanwhile, California Adventure at the Premiere Shop, which is the old Millionaire building for those unacquainted, they have some Marvel product now available. Probably, was sitting ready for Avengers Campus to open. But, nothing I would say that's particularly shocking. Some classic Marvel outfits. You got the sort of an Endgame Pym Particle suit.
Yeah, the time travel suit.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some fancy name for it, Quantum Realm suit or something.
Yeah.
A Spirit jersey, a Marvel Spirit jersey.
I love the Spirit jersey. A lot of this, by the way, can be found on Shop Disney, but there is some of it that was not available on Shop Disney that you could find in the backlot shop right now. So, lots of cool Marvel merch that, I honestly, I didn't even think about it, but yeah, probably all planned for Avengers Campus. And now they're just like, all right, let's get this out.
And we were happy to reveal on Laughing Place 2 new recipes from the upcoming Cooking with Deadpool book, which just sounds like a lot of fun. It's on sale February 2nd, but we were able to debut the recipes for It's Not Delivery, It's Deadpool, and Ginger Pools. So check that out. I don't know if you can see this. I guess I should turn off my... For some reason, while I'm doing Marvel Time, the ad on the bottom of the screen is for Wonder Woman 1984. So we'll just close out of that.
Yeah, this was awesome. I love that one of the recipes was pizza. Obviously, I love pizza. Yeah, I'm not skipping any Marvel intros, that's for sure.
My favorite is the skipping the intro for Mandalorian, though, which is like 3 seconds of the title card. By the time you realize, oh yeah, I want to skip the title card, but whatever. Also, fun fact: has anyone in the history of anything? So there's probably chimichangas. That just doesn't mean we got 2 recipes out of.
I think when they announced the book, they specifically mentioned chimichangas. I think those will be in there.
What was I? Has anyone ever skipped the theme song for the X-Men '90s animated series? No, in the history of Disney Plus?
There's things you don't skip the intro for. It's that and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You can't do it.
Yo, listen to the story all about how my life got flipped and upside down, and I want to take a minute just to sit right there. So, I
was really waiting to see if you would just go through the whole thing.
I just don't have to save everybody. So you've got Marvel Unlimited revealed what's coming to their service for 2021. In January, we got Werewolf by Night, which is written by Taboo of the Black Eyed Peas. Last Remains, which we've talked about extensively on this show. Wolverine Black, White, and Blood.
I was surprised to see that some of these are coming to Marvel Unlimited so quickly. It feels, Last Remains it just wrapped up last week, and now we're already talking about it coming this month. So that's exciting that we're getting stuff to Marvel Unlimited this quickly.
Wonder Woman 1984. Marvel Voices, which is Indigenous Voices #1, which came out towards the end of last year. Enter the Phoenix,
which is another ongoing story arc right now.
Right. Reign of X, which is the current X-Men storyline, is coming in March. King in Black.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. I've never heard of that story.
Sword, which I think has only had 1 issue so far.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
MODOK Head Games, which is 2 issues. We reviewed the first one. I have the second one waiting for me in my Marvel account. But April Eternals, which we talked about today.
Yep.
May Avengers Mech Strike,
which hasn't even released yet, so we will be checking that out soon.
Yeah. But then we got some late breaking news. Special Marvel time. In April, we're going to get Spider-Man Curse of the Man-Thing.
That's awesome.
Three-part Marvel Universe spanning event. Which is, there's the cover. So it's celebrating 50 years of Man-Thing. Who knew?
Yeah, actually, I did not realize Man-Thing had been around that long. Man-Thing is one of those characters that's been on my list for a long time. I haven't read a whole lot of Man-Thing, but I've always wanted to. I wanted to check out more, so I'm excited for it.
So, and then if you look at the cover here, it looks like Kurt Connors is going to make an appearance.
Yep.
The poor guy who can't seem to ever fully get cured. And editor Mark Panacea said, if you like superheroes and the supernatural, you'll love this high-octane celebration of one of Marvel's strangest characters. It feels like its own big event, and Steve's epic story will reveal, amongst other things, an unexpected new dimension of the Marvel Universe. So Man-Thing, created by Stan Lee, Roy Thomas, Jerry Conway, and Gary Morrow in the 70s. I believe 1971, but because that would be 50 years.
Math. Man-Thing's a very interesting character, and this feels like what would have been like an October story. I'm surprised they're not holding it for like around Halloween, but excited to check this out in April. Yeah,
so I guess that's what we got. Mac, any last words?
No, I mean, how are we still waiting for WandaVision? Is it not time yet?
So you should have. Well, next week will be countdown to WandaVision, right? Because we'll come back Wednesday and then I'll have Friday. Do you want to announce your new project?
Yeah, we're gonna do that right now.
No time like the present.
So we sort of in conjunction with the release of WandaVision, we are going to have a new podcast, the Zacks of Life podcast. Sort of off of the model of our Who's the Boss Star Wars podcast. So yeah, me and Kyle Burbank will be talking some Marvel and everything going on, as well, of course, talking about the latest episode of whatever Marvel series is going on at the time, obviously starting with WandaVision. So I am really excited to get to spend more time talking about Marvel.
So a little inside baseball. So when we're planning it out, one thing we've learned, this is the third. Well, I guess it depends how you look at third or fourth Laughing Place podcast we have. And I was like, okay, just so you know, you're going to need to take breaks because it's a lot of work and sometimes you just need to recharge your battery. So I was like, well, just take a break, when there's no new MCU content, right? We do Marvel Time every week, but this is easy. But, and there's new comics every week. But I was like, just take a break. And then I was like, okay, so WandaVision is 9 episodes starting January 15th. And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier starts basically the next week. And then I don't know how many episodes that's going to be, but then it leads into Loki and Black Widow. And then you have What If? And I was like, okay, so you'll get a break in 2027.
Yeah. Basically once every 17 weeks, we're going to take a week off. Yes, it is. I did say the title. It's the Zacks of Life podcast, based off of everybody's favorite villain, Zax.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and then you have the Zax of Life.
So and we'll I guess take a little bit of time to talk about where the name came from as we get into the first episode. But so that is coming, and I'm really
and just like all the plumbers that name themselves AAA plumbing, so they're at the beginning of all the listings. You guys really took that lesson to heart.
Yeah, it's going to be specifically Zacks of Life podcast, not the Zacks of Life podcast.
So that's going to be exciting. And then every Monday, you'll be joined with, I think, Becca, at least on a somewhat regular basis, to kind of recap the episode. Referring to Zax. I think he's got Zax and Zax B's confused. To recap the episode and whatever else is coming down on Mondays. And then it's Marvel time, so we're going to talk WandaVision every week here, too. Right. Superficial level, but because I have things to say, and my side I'm going to say. So, what's next for King in Black next week? Do we know?
Ooh, off the top of my head, I do not.
I just put that right on you right now, and I expect you to know the answer.
Well, what's funny is it feels like they are ramping up to the point where King in Black is actually taking over the entire Marvel universe, because we didn't even read one of the titles this week. Guardians of the Galaxy was also King in Black related, and we didn't pick that up. So obviously there's going to be a lot to get into next week.
So it looks like there's 4 tie-ins. There's King in Black, Venom versus Carnage. King in Black, Namor number 3. King in Black's Planet of the Symbiotes, which is the symbiotes shall inherit the Earth, not if Scream can help it. And King in Black Thunderbolts number 1. So that's quite a variety of.
Yes, and a few titles that I am really excited about there. We've read Namor a little bit already, but those other 3, yeah, I'm all for it.
And then I think we have in 3 weeks we'll have King in Black number 3, so we'll get this juices going again. So yeah, that's a lot. Like, because there were, as you said, there were 5 King in Black titles. We do 5 comic books. We kind of had to do the Eternal, so it's like we didn't even get to read all of King in Black. That Guardians book isn't going to change my whole perspective on King in Black. But okay, well, thanks so much, Mac.
Thank you,
and we'll see you next time.